Guys, welcome to episode 62. Whoop, whoop. So yes, I've been doing these fabulous vlogs, daily little diary posts, I guess is how I like to see it. It's very windy outside where I am at the moment. I feel a great sense of change is upon us. You know what I mean? The wind is definitely ushering some very big and monumental changes in our little area here. So let me just tie up my hair so that it doesn't just blow all over the place, you know. And yes, so today's episode, I guess I've pitched up here with a little bit of an idea in my head. But I guess today I want to chat about an aspect and an element that I've started to become quite aware within myself. And today, when I popped out to the shop and we paused for a little cappuccino, you know, I became very acutely aware of it even more so. So this might sound strange, but for those who are potentially experiencing a similar emotion, a similar feeling, similar insights and experiences, you might understand what I say and it might make sense. So for the past couple of years, there have been huge changes in my life on so many fronts. Relationships, career-wise, financially, family dynamics, myself. And today I was just sitting down and this wonderful gentleman who was across from me sitting at another table kind of like smiled at me. And ordinarily the old me would have smiled and been like, so, oh, wow, this is so windy, isn't it? Like I said, change. I think this is like a great way to symbolize how much change I feel has happened in my life. This wind is just like, girl, it's perfect for this message and this episode, bitch. So yes, like I was saying, I found him like smiling at me, and ordinarily I probably would have smiled and loved the fact that this person was smiling at me because someone's recognizing me and seeing me and someone loves me, you know. And I really endeavored in the past to make sure that everybody just loved me. It used to really ache my heart when someone didn't like me. And I feel like this aspect and this element has somewhat changed within me. So before, I guess I used to be someone who was very approachable. I always, you know, try to be so happy and elated even when I was dying inside, you know, because not being high vibe and not being happy all the time was deemed just to be a debaucherous state to be in, you know. God forbid you show your denser, thicker, more murky emotions, because, you know, we've always got to be so happy. We always have to be so upbeat, so elated, so ecstatic. Like life is always just so delicious. And I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel the need to have to be in that state all the time. And it's been quite an interesting one, because this one part of me almost feels like it became addicted to this pretend version of me who was always, you know, the light of the party, always speaking, always conversing, always keeping things moving. And yes, now I tend to be a little bit quieter, a little bit more reserved. a little bit more observant. And today was one of those days where, like, I really, wow, guys. I actually think I might just move inside for the purposes of my tripod just maybe blowing over. So listen, we'll walk and talk. So in we go. We're just going to find another little spot. I don't want to start again. So you just stay with me, or don't. You can go. If this is already not speaking to you, then, but you are coming into my little boudoir here, So yes, sorry, that was a bit, wow, the wind is just quite savage suddenly. So yes, I find myself not needing to, or feeling like I don't need to do that all the time. And it was quite interesting because I shared it with my husband, and he's like, okay, but why were you doing it before? And I was like, well, I think it was that desire to always be liked, to always, be the one who is just loved by everyone. And the last couple of years have really been challenging for me. They've really been hard on my heart, they've really cracked it open. And there's this beautiful saying that says, don't let the world harden your heart because all the hardships you experience. I'm not paraphrasing here, but yeah, something along those lines. And it's such an interesting feeling because I find myself at this juncture of almost wanting to keep a little bit of that with me, because I do love to just make people feel so good and happy, and I love to be happy and upbeat, and it's a nice thing to be and to do. And I don't want to harden my heart and become a Scrooge McDuck and be depresso espresso all the time, So I find myself at this like tipping point of like walking a tightrope and almost like tipping from one to the next and trying to find that balance of just being centered and grounded and allowing for whatever feelings and emotions are innately and naturally arriving to arrive, and for me to be with them without me feeling the need to alter, tweak, adjust, and amend, right? And that means that you have to sit with those uncomfortable emotions as well, and not feel the need to have to change those either, and actually just be with them and allow them to run the process and run their course of being felt and heard and understood and acknowledged. Where I guess before that wasn't something that I was even allowed to do. Yeah, if I'm being honest with you, when I was growing up as a child, those denser, darker, scarier emotions, I guess, were either pushed aside, pretended to not have been there, or my mom always had this interesting saying. She still says it, and it was one that I guess took with me as well. And when my firstborn was born, I started to realize how I was using it, and I endeavored to change it. And it's definitely something that I don't use anymore. But I become acutely aware of when someone else is using it. And it's this phrase that says, when someone's looking like a bit, like having a bit of a tough day, someone will ask, oh, but what's wrong? Like, oh, like do you have a disease or something? Like, oh, what's wrong? Feeling like the way you're feeling is, oh, just so wrong. Like it's wrong. You can't, what's wrong? Like wrong. Wow. And that was like a big, big wake up, and just such an interesting phrase for me to like unpack and alter, shift, amend, delete, alt, control, delete. So yeah, I guess it's that element, it's like I don't want people to think that there's anything wrong with me, because God forbid, you know what I mean? Like, God forbid there's something wrong with you, you know? And I'm like, well, what if there's something wrong? What if there is something wrong? And then what? And then it's wrong. And then it won't be wrong forever. You know what I mean? It won't be wrong forever. But because we like take on this aspect and element of like with this wrongness, it almost becomes like an identity of something that we've got to like carry with us all the time. So yes, magical people, I do feel like today is a bit of a ramble, but I guess it's just some thoughts and emotions that I'm working through and processing, and I thought it was worthwhile sharing in this here now present moment for my own timestamp and own point of reflection and introspection. My Bucci is always with me. She's right here. Let me just tip the camera. Look at her. Look at this little tutus here, man. Look at her. Oh, just the cutest little nunus. She really is, She's so cute. So yes, let's see, what else do I feel called to speak about today? As much as there's this uncomfortability with the aspects and elements that I've just shared with you around, honoring the feelings or whatever you're feeling without feeling the need to have to always be in peak state. I'd say last week was a really interesting experience for me. It was probably one of the first times in a really long time that I was starting to really fully embody and feel the essence of this new being that I really feel I'm becoming. And if I'm being honest, for the last 8 years, I feel like I've been going through this transformational metamorphosis of disowning so many, if not all, the parts of myself and who I used to be, and taking on this new aspect and element of what's arriving in my world. Just like innately or automatically or without me trying. In fact, sometimes when I try to push it away, it like pushes back at me even harder. And some of those aspects and elements are like very uncomfortable. And for so long, I was so attached to the fact that I had this marketing honors degree and that I was in a certain category of work and line of work, and this is what I did, and this is who I was. And I had my own company, and it was amazing to me at how much of that, I guess, you take on as your identity, as like your persona. It's almost like it's the essence of your beingness, right? It's not just a construct of something you're doing. It becomes like something you're being. And the last 8 years have really made me go into a state of metamorphosis and cocooning. It started off with me, we started off homeschooling our children and me taking on less and less projects and being very selective about what work I started to take on and distancing myself from all my clients. And I had the biggest clients ever, and had really good relations with them, But yes, life was literally demanding that I started to head in a different direction. And it seemed for someone looking out in, it was like insanity. This chick's gone whack. She's crazy. Because I had a highly successful business. I was doing so well. The business was coming in. I had 2 beautiful children, and they were going to the best schools in the country. And my husband had a business, and we stayed in this beautiful home that we had built ourselves, designed it, and obviously we built it ourselves, as in like